concerning mass killings in Minnesota and elsewhere, because we certainly have a lot of them. I'm here to tell you one thing, if I never say anything else in my life. 100% of the people who commit mass shootings have been bullied and treated wrongly in their childhood. It's a fact. It doesn't mean it's their parents. It doesn't mean exactly how it happened, but it happened. It was either an institution, a school, or a church, a parental thing, or another family member. All kinds of crazy things happen. But these people have been mistreated and have not been diagnosed with this mistreatment properly. They're not getting the mental help, perhaps even pharmaceutical help that they might need. And it ends up festering and leading to this horror. And it always blossoms when they finally get, they've probably been miserable most of their lives, almost all their lives, in almost all these situations. They've been miserable all of their conscious adult lives, not as toddlers. They didn't go and take a butcher knife and stab it into their parents while the parents were sleeping when they were toddlers. No, fine. Either fine or were bullied into at least like not doing anything. I mean, you can always say, well, maybe they were always going to be bad. I just don't believe that. I don't think they were always going to be bad. I really don't. But they come about, and I guarantee you from personal experience and from the fact that I have made every effort I had the time and energy to do to read the manifestos of all of these different mass killers. And I've not read all of them because you can't find almost any of them. You can't find them. You want to read it, just say, well, what were they thinking? Well, just try and find it. It's not easy. Get out on the internet and search. But I've read some, a good bit actually, and it's 100% of the time they always felt completely miserable and stupid and hopeless and bullied by some element of their life that was, usually it's family, school, church, government, whatever. But they felt this their whole lives. From the time they were, just conscious, even first grade and stuff like that. They always were just like, and you can just name all the different reasons that someone feels bullied. This latest girl in Minnesota, you can say that they worshipped mass murderers, which, yeah, there's all kinds of evidence that they were like, studying that, worshiping that. They didn't start that when they were 6 years old. They didn't start it when they were toddlers. They started it as time went by, and they just felt just miserable. I'm more miserable now. I'm more miserable now. And they couldn't wait till they were old enough to be able to buy a gun legally and just like, I'm just going to kill everybody and everything and myself. I mean, when you create people who are so miserable and full of just misery and pain that they are eager to not only kill themselves, which they do. They're just like, well, how can you going to stop that if someone's desperate to kill themselves? But they're so horribly feeling about their lives in the world that they choose to think that it makes some sort of insane sense, which it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't. They're not right for doing this. They shouldn't do this. It's not the right decision. But obviously, they choose to do it. And it just means that how bad is that when you can create someone who wants to kill themselves and then they say, well, and I want to take the whole world with me. How do you stop that? The way you stop it is you stop creating people who say to themselves, I want to kill myself and take the whole world with me. That's the best way to stop it, is to not create those people. Because once you create them, you can't make enough of a police state to stop them. Come on. Once you create a suicide pilot, how are you going to stop that? I mean, you'll stop some, stop most, but you can't stop. Come on. It's coming out of nowhere. It's just the cancer of society. It's the most horrific element of our societal structure, is that we create I'm sorry, sad but true, we are creating people who think along the lines that I was just describing. And you can't stop them. So you got to find a way to not create them in the first place, or to help them come back once they once they've become that way. But 100% of these killers have been mistreated and abused in their childhood. It's just a fact. So start there. Just one other thing I was going to say about this is that really the medication thing, you can't get away from that. I mean, we changed our way of... Look, mass killings has not been around forever. That's the positive news. They have not been around forever. I mean, really, you can just say that what we're in right now started almost, you could just say Columbine. Just Columbine, and then now. And before that was a whole different world. And thankfully, I'm old enough that I got to live a long time before that world. And a lot of bad stuff back in the old days, for sure. But this bad thing, this messy kitty. No, we had terrible murders and assassinations and problems, but we didn't have this mass killing stuff. So there's got to be something you can go back to and focus on as tying into this whole thing. And one thing is medication for people who need help. It has absolutely changed over the decades. And, you know, when I was a kid growing up and you knew the culture and you can hear the songs and music and talk and stories and stuff like that, but drugs that were calming, stimulative, this, that, and the other, everything someone wanted to do with drugs was actually way easy. It was just way easier in the 50s and 60s because even though they were against the law, they hadn't cracked down on them yet, really. They would just be like, if don't do it in public. That was basically the law. If it was an illegal drug, and there were so many more legal drugs available. That was the main thing. So many more legal drugs available that people wanted, that they felt like helped them. And since once we changed that with the drug war, it was cracking down on the illegal drugs, but that also initiated a thing of cracking down on legal drugs too. So we've been taking more and more away, and now more and more money goes into the illegal drug industry, and that creates a negative effect on society in countless ways. And but one of the worst ways is that people who were super stressed out, who used to be able to get some medications that are just illegal now, but they used to be legal by the FCC, and they used to be legal. You know, something like cocaine was legal lawfully in small amounts and in products back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It changed around there that they made it illegal as an ingredient in Coca-Cola. And really, you can just extrapolate from that. It's like, marijuana used to be just like, oh, you could go to jail for life for a bunch of marijuana. And now it's like, well, most of the states of the United States have it legal and there's really not a problem. So I don't think that's part of what's creating problems really for someone who needs more help than that. People who commit these crimes, they need more help than just, oh, well, they might have been too high on marijuana. No, it's not that. They need help from childhood. You can't be put in a position where if you question your sexuality and you're growing up in the Catholic school like this kid did in Minnesota, you can't have a thing where he's questioning sexuality and everybody's telling him, well, you're going to go to hell for what you think, that you might be bisexual or male or female, who knows what he was even thinking, but he was getting that from church and religion, probably, that there's this part where you go to hell for doing that. I just wanted to let you know, that's not good. And anyway, let me just finish and say, I think that we should have two things. We should certainly have a congressional committee studying the idea of mass shootings and mass shooters and their motivation, impetus, experience of their life, and and possibly, hopefully, estimate some of the solutions for it. So we should have a congressional committee to study mass shootings, which we should have had forever, but we haven't had it yet. So congressional committee, first suggestion, a congressional committee to study mass shootings, period. It's worth the money. It's worth it. And then also a congressional statement that we should have a class that everyone is forced to take, and take it once a year. It lasts all year and all through your 12 years of high school, and it's called Love. Love. And this class simply says this: you're not supposed to hate your other students, you're supposed to love them and get along, because then it makes everything more efficient, and we like each other, we have a better day, and we also kind of learn better because we're not having fights all the time. And if you have a fight, then that's not good. And if you are being bullied, you should be able to go to the teacher and say, yes, I'm being bullied, and I just want to tell you that person is bullying me. You should be able to do that. You have to be able to do that. And yet that is considered snitching. That's a new terrible thing of our society, that people of all different elements of society all have this thing about, oh, snitching is bad. No, snitching is, I'm sorry, dudes, but yeah, if someone's fucking with me, let me go talk to the teacher police officer instead of all those other options, which, none of those are good. So, I've seen people mocking snitching and stuff like that. And so that's no good. So that's the second thing, is that we should have a class called Love, Getting Along, Learning to Love Each Other. It's a good idea, and even no matter what differences you have in terms of your philosophy and thought and religion and political preference and stuff like that. So, we should do that. So, anyway, that's about all I got right now. We should, concerning mass killers, it's all so complicated because we really have to do something about this. That's just a fact. But like I said, mainly, you can take it for granted, take it for just an absolute fact, because I know from experience, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that 100% of these tragic enemy, horrible monsters who attack us, they were mistreated. They absolutely were mistreated, and different levels of abuse. Sometimes it can be psychological. I just hate to have to say, well, we have to swallow that, but we do. There's no other way to fix it. Because like I said, we're not going to stop them. We have to stop making them. We can't stop them as well as we want, but we can stop making them as much as possible. Thank you. Thanks for listening.